Good afternoon. Today I am going to start the history from page number 14. France abolishes monarchy and becomes a republic. Monarchy, as you know, the kingship. The situation in France continued to be a tense during the following years. Now there was a lot of tense among the people. Although Louis XVI had signed the constitution, Louis XVI was there at that time. He signed the constitution. Constitution, you know. He entered into secret negotiations with the king of Prussia. So he already entered in this constitution. Rulers of other neighboring countries too were worried by the development in France and made plans to send troops to put down the event that had been taking place there since the summer of 17. So he decided to send some of the army people. Before this could happen, the National Assembly voted in April 1792 to declare war against Prussia and Austria. So that was the year 1792 where the war started with Prussia and Austria. Thousands of volunteers thrown from the province to join the army. Many of the people, they joined the army. They saw this a war of the people against kings and atrocities all over the Europe. So this was the thing. The incident took place with the king. Among the patriotic song, there was a patriotic song they sang was the Marseillaise. Marseillaise, it's a patriotic song composed by the poet Roger D. Elson. So you will underline this sentence. It was sung by the first time by the volunteers from Marseillaise and they marched into the Paris and so got its name. The Marseillaise is now a national anthem of France. Marseillaise, you know the national anthem in our country, whatever, the Rashtriya Gan, and same as Marseillaise also, it is a national anthem nowadays. It's a national anthem of France. The revolutionary wars brought losses and economic difficulties in the people. Now this revolution had loses many things. Economic difficulties started among the people. While the men were away fighting at the front, women were left to cope with the task of earning and living and looking after their families. Now women were also have to find out their work. They have to look after their families also. Large section of the population were convinced that the revolution had to carry it further as the constitution of 1791 was give political rights only to the richest section of the society. Political clubs, now that time there were clubs, political clubs became an important rallying point for the people who wished to discuss government policies and plan their own forms of action. Now people, they wanted to discuss the government policy, and so many people, they have formed the club also. That time there were so many clubs. The most successful of these clubs among was that Jacobins, that was the famous club which got its name from the convent of Saint Jacob in Paris. After then it was named as a club Jacobins. Women too, who had been active throughout this period, women were very active in this period, formed their own clubs. They also formed their own clubs. Section 4 of this chapter will tell you more about their activities and demands. So in section 4 you will see about the activities they will discuss and the demands of the Jacobins. The members of the Jacobin club belonged mainly to the less prosperous section of the society. Now the members of Jacobin, they belonged to a less, they were from the lower section of the society. They included now some of the people from the lower category, like small shopkeepers, artisans such as shoemakers, pastry cooks, watchmakers, printers, as well as servants and daily wage workers. So this type of people, they belong to Jacobin. Their leader was Maximilien Robespierre. This sentence also you have to underline. The leader of the Jacobin was Maximilien Robespierre. A large group among the Jacobins decided to start wearing now their dress. You can see in figure number 9. Jacobins, how they used to wear with a long strip trouser pant similar to those worn by the dock workers. Now this was to set themselves apart from the fashionable section. Their dress was totally different from other society people, especially nobles who wore knee breeches. It was a way of proclaiming the end of the power wielded by the wearers of the knee breeches. These Jacobins came to be known as a sans-culottes. The Jacobins people, they were known as a sans-culottes, literally mean those without knee breeches. So their dressing was totally different, with the strip lining the trouser they used to wear. Sans-culottes men wore, in addition, even a red cap they used to wear. This symbolized liberty. Women, however, were not allowed to do so. Women in this club, they were not doing in this way. In the summer of 1792, the Jacobins planned an insurrection of the large number of Parisians who were angered by the short supplies and high prices of the food. On the morning of August 10, they stormed the palace of the Tuileries, massacred the king guards, and held the king himself as a hostage for the several hours. Later, the assembly voted to imprison the royal family. Elections were held. Now, in this way, the elections also held. From now on, all the men of 21 years and above, regardless of the wealth, got the right to vote. So 21 years people, they can give the vote, and above also they can give the vote. The newly elected assembly was called a convention. Now that assembly, which was formed a new way, that was also known as a convention. On 21st September 1792, it abolishes the monarchy. The kingship was already abolished and declared France as a republic. As you know, a republic is a form of government where the people elect the government, including the head of the government. Now here it's written, there is no hereditary monarchy. That time this National Assembly was not including the monarchy, the king. They have to give the vote at the age of 21 or more. You can try and find out about some other countries that are republics and investigate when and how they became so. Louis XVI was sentenced to death. Now for a death he was sentenced by a court. He was declared by the court on the charge of treason. On 21st January 1793, he was executed. Finally, he was hanged publicly at the Place de la Concorde. The Queen Marie Antoinette met with the same fate shortly after. So she met there. The Reign of Terror. The period from 1793 to 1794 is referred to as a Reign of Terror. That was a period when Reign of Terror started, 1793 to 1794. Robespierre was the leader of the Jacobin, Maximilien Robespierre. Robespierre followed a policy of severe control and punishment. He followed the policy of severe control and punishment. All those whom he saw being enemies of the Republic, those who were the enemies of this republic, the government, ex-nobles and clergy, members of other political parties, even members of his own party who did not agree with his methods were arrested and they were imprisoned, and then they tried by a revolutionary tribunal. They were given a punishment. If the court found them guilty, they were guillotined. Guillotine, it's a device when the people were already given a punishment. A guillotine is a device consisting of two poles. It's a machine with two poles and blade with which a person is beheaded. The head has to put in between the blade. It was named after Dr. Guillotine, who invented. So this type of punishment was given in front of the court. Robespierre government issued laws placing a maximum ceiling on wages and prices. Meat and bread were rationed, fixed. Ration means fixed. Meat and bread were rationed. Peasants were forced to transport their grains in the cities and sell it at the prices fixed by the government. So that time whatever it was sold in the market, it was fixed by the government. The use of more expensive white flour was forbidden. White flour, you know, the atta, that is already forbidden. All citizens were required to eat a pain de glad equality to bread. A loaf made the whole way. Equality was also sought to be practiced through forms of speech and address. Instead of the traditional monsieur, sir, and madam, that is a madam, all French men and women were henceforth citoyens. They all French men and women, they were known as a citizen. Churches were shut down and their buildings converted into barracks or offices. That time the Republic government, whatever they have done, they have shut down the churches and they have converted into a barracks or the offices. Those churches were already converted into a barracks or the offices. Robespierre pursued his policies so relentlessly that even his supporters began to demand moderation. Now, not only Robespierre, so many people, they wanted to become as a modern. They wanted, their demand was to bring a modernization. Finally, he was convicted by a court in July 1794. He was arrested and on the next day sent to a guillotine. You have read guillotine. It's a device consisting of two blades, and in between the blade a person's head is beheaded, kept, and it was named after the Dr. Guillotine who invented. So this type of punishment it was given. A directory ruled France. The fall of the Jacobin government allowed the wealthier middle class to seize the power. Now Jacobin government, they have given the order that middle class can take this type of power. A new constitution was introduced which denied and vote to non-proprietary section of the society. It provided for 2 elected legislative council. These then appointed a directory and executive made up of 5 members. This was meant as a safeguard against the concentration of the power in a one-man executive as under the Jacobins. However, the directors often clashed with the legislative council, who then sought to dismiss them. The political instability of the directory paved the way for the rise of military dictator, that is a Napoleon Bonaparte. So that time military dictator was there and the Napoleon Bonaparte he became. Through all these changes in the form of government, the ideals of the freedom of equality before the law and fraternity remained inspiring ideas that motivated. So that time the form of government, they want the total freedom and the equality before the law. Then here it's written, inspiring ideals and motivated political movements in France and rest of the Europe during the following countries. So that time the republic type of government started and they wanted those men and women, those who were in this republic government. So today I am finishing up till here and tomorrow I will start the 4th unit tomorrow from page number 18.